Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Hope everybody survived that. Believe it or not, I didn't lose any power, but trees down everywhere, barely missing my house left and right. Just waiting for a 100-year-old oak tree, JC. There's about 3 of them in my backyard that surround the house. They're 80 feet high at least.
Yeah.
Maybe not 80 feet. They're big. They're
big.
old.
Yeah.
I was waiting for one of them to come land right in me while I was watching the football game last night. But I hope everybody over there in the Perry area and Big Bend area got out of town. Couldn't have been good, man. Couldn't have been good.
Yeah. Cedar Key and Steenhatchee, this is the second time now. With the first one, Idalia, not long ago. Having to live through that, it's got to make you really think about what you got over there. You know what I mean? But anyway, QB, hopefully the golf courses are all intact. I know there'll be a lot of messy stuff out there, but we have a lot
we don't tee off till 1 o'clock, so they can clean it up.
We have a lot of trees at ours, and maybe some of those trees are gone now. Who knows?
Sometimes those people that work on golf courses hope trees go down.
Yes, right.
Makes growing grass easier.
Hey, but
I'll deal with my issues with fences down and trees in the backyard at a later date. I'll let other people that's more.
When you think about what other folks have been through,
But I will say this.
Yeah.
That was the scariest wind I've ever experienced.
It's loud.
It sounded like it was going to blow the house down.
Well, they say tornadoes make a loud noise before they blow you up.
I thought there were going to be some tornadoes coming through the way it sounded.
It's no fun. QB, it makes you really appreciate what we have. So listen, big weekend this weekend, my man. Gators off. That's probably a good thing. 2-2 right now, getting ready. But the team they're playing next week is UCF, and UCF's got a big game. We're going to pick it in our Peachland Dental Picks contest. And by the way, God bless Joe Lawson and all the folks down there in the Fort Myers and Punta Gorda area, Port Charlotte. Hopefully the flooding down there was not as bad as they've had in the past, and that things will be okay. That thing was awfully close to Florida, man. That was a nasty. You said it last week. You said that thing was it was going to be a nasty storm in a system, and it really blew up in the hot bathtub called the Gulf of Mexico. But QB, UCF, back to what I was saying, big game this weekend at home. Colorado's coming to town. Dion and the boys coming to the bounce house, I guess is what they call it down there. So we've got a lot of games to pick. What did you think last night? Did you watch Army just tractor the Temple Owls last night, QB?
Yeah, Temple's a bad football team, but Army's so disciplined and
well coached.
They do what they do. So I watched that. I don't get Prime or whatever that Amazon, whatever the NFL game comes on. So your Dallas Cowboys struggled and found a way to win there, JC.
They have Giants number. The Giants don't beat Dallas for some reason. It was a sloppy game, lots of field goals. Dallas did score a touchdown, but Aubrey kicked a 60-yarder. He ironically missed his first one of the season. He missed a 51-yarder, and Dallas gets out of there and is now 2-2. But they've got a lot of work to do. I don't think the Giants are going to be much better than they were last year, but Jones didn't look bad. He's got some weapons with Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, but Neighbors got a concussion at the end of the game last night, so we'll see how it did.
All right, let me get to some of these comments on Facebook Live brought to you by Meldon Law real quick, and then we'll move on. We're supposed to have Chris Harry, but it doesn't look like we're going to have him. He lives in the over kind of near campus, so to speak, older neighborhood. He has no power. So
Um,
I never lost power,
yeah,
even though the wind was blowing 70, 80 miles an hour and trees were falling left and right. I never lost power. Crazy,
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Underground cables, QB. Underground cables.
Yeah, Nat says the city of Alachua is very bad right now.
Not bad.
Wyatt wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. Is there a chance we go after Gruden if Kiffin turns us down? No, no
Gruden.
chance.
John Gruden?
Yeah.
He's been out of
No.
football for a while now.
Yeah, and he's not a college guy, and that'd be a terrible fit. And I don't think that would get anybody excited, quite honestly. Wouldn't get me excited. Where is this? So TJ Parnell on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Huntsville, Alabama, checking in.
All right.
How do you feel about Charlie Strong taking over? I've heard nothing about that. Like I said, I don't care. Like I said yesterday, I don't care if Vince Lombardi comes and takes over as an interim coach. It ain't going to make a difference, people, in my opinion.
Well, what's going to happen? Well, I think you and I both reside to the fact that he's going to be here for the rest of the year, regardless of what happens, unless it's unbearable. And what they do after that is anyone's guess. I hate just throwing names out there, because to me, everybody does that, and it doesn't really serve much of a purpose unless there's a reason to.
But I mean, who cares about an interim coach? That's my point.
That's just right. That's temporary, correct? So
yeah.
And then what are assistant coaches going to do when they know their job is over at the end of the season? They're not going to call kids and recruit hard. They're not going to do anything. So it's a tough situation right now, Florida. But they're 2-2. You got UCF coming in next week. I know we're not happy with the way things run on offense and defense, but that's just the way it is. Sometimes teams just work through, coaches have to work through bad seasons. I don't think anybody wants to hear that, but everybody that we want to be the coach at Florida is busy, so to speak.
I don't know if TJ was wanting my thoughts on Charlie Strong taking over as interim, or as the head, like the he has no chance of being the regular head coach.
No,
0.
I agree.
JT also, this is a different. That was TJ. This is JT on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Says, what do you like about Lane's offensive style? I mean, it's pretty simple. He's always got great quarterback play, and they score points.
That's right.
I love the way they throw the football. It reminds me so much of back in the 90s under Spurrier. Accurate throws, posts are thrown correctly, go routes are thrown correctly. It's like routes on air.
He attacks defenses and goes for mismatches, right, QB? I mean, when he was the OC at Alabama, we loved watching Blake Sims just light it up, and it was a good time for him there, and it got his career back off the map because they fired him on the airport tarmac at USC. Yeah. So, but he's a great play caller. A great play caller who knows how to attack defenses and look.
There's only a handful of those in America. There's only a handful. Florida Cracker, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe. Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Go check them out. All right. Let me get to some text on the Titan MR text line.
All right.
There's a bunch here. I'm just going to pick a few. This is from somewhere in the 337 area code. It says, rest in peace to the oldest Gator. He's 88 years old. Val Heckman passed away. Well, rest in peace, Val. I didn't know Val, but lived a good life to live to 88. QB, this is Gator Guy on the Titan MR text line. How do we stop UCF without committing more to the box? And when I say stop, I mean stop the run, not worry about their pass game. Well, I don't think we can stop them. I think we need to try to slow them down. Look, it's going to be interesting because, as JC said earlier, they play a big game that's going to be getting a lot of attention down against Colorado this tomorrow.
That's right.
And then they come to us.
Yeah.
So, will there be a letdown? I don't think there'll be a letdown because a lot of those UCF guys, well, maybe not. wanted to be Gators. I think that's kind of changed over the way people recruit nowadays, especially with the portal. It used to be, if you went to USF, UCF, FAU, those type
Yeah.
of schools,
Yeah.
those are kids that weren't big enough or fast enough, or their hand size or their wingspan wasn't a couple inches longer for them to go to play big time football at one of the major schools. So I don't think we can stop them, but maybe we can slow them down, and I don't even know how to do that.
Well, this is the thing. If you're into statistics, and I don't know what this really means, but it kind of tells you what they like to do. They are number 1 in the country in rushing. They average 375 yards a game. They average 45 points a game, and their total yardage per game is 576 yards. So
those are great stats. But who have they played? They haven't played anybody.
No, and I'm not so certain though, QB, that Florida's defense is better than anybody.
No, I'm not going to argue that either.
Yeah,
but they really haven't played anybody. But Barone says on YouTube, brought to you by Claudia Plumbing, UCF will be up for the game at Florida. This is their Super Bowl.
It's a big one for them.
It is, but think about it, people. I think, because I sometimes forget about it, UCF is now in a Power 4 conference, meaning if they win their conference, they go to the playoffs.
Automatic.
Yeah. So this game is big for them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think it's as big to them as it used to be, because there's so many other type of players on that team now.
Yeah.
And UCF is now a Power 4 team, and they're more worried about their conference games now.
Well, they've got Colorado and Cincinnati around the Florida game. If you ask the UCF fan, would you rather beat the Gators or would you rather beat one of those other two? What do you think he's going to say? He'd probably say the Gators, but the right answer would be beating Colorado and Cincinnati.
Yeah, for sure. That's their conference.
Yeah, but you know how
these mean a lot more.
But you know how these kids are these days. They want bragging rights and things like that with their close neighbors. But there's no doubt that the conference now is the thing.
But that's where my point is I don't know how many of the kids on the rosters are from the state of Florida and played against each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, look at Florida's roster. We got kids from all over the country now. This is a text. I'm not sure who it's from. Wants to know what my thoughts are on Cliff Kingsbury as a possibility.
Cliff Kingsbury.
I don't know.
Cliff is a good offensive play
caller. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to go Cliff, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to read this one here, JC, then I'll let you talk.
No, go ahead.
TJ says on YouTube, I do like Kerwin Bell as a head coach and his son as the OC, and put you on the staff. If I'm going to be on the staff as an analyst where I can still play golf. So who would you like for the DC with that combination? Brandon, I would make Jerry Odom who's his DC now. Jerry's been coaching football a long time. Coach's son knows the game. 100%. I would prefer that scenario over Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury. I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Load up the staff and form a Gators. That's my answer to all of those problems, QB. I mean, these guys are going to work harder than anybody else would. I guarantee you they would. They have pride. Those Gators back in those days, they love their school. They don't. And I want to ask you about this kid at UNLV, QB. The kid left, and he thought he was going to get paid $100,000. He was told he was going to get $100,000. He went to UNLV supposedly because he was going to get this money and play for them. My question is, why can't we just figure out what happened and assess the accountability somewhere? Why doesn't anybody just ask the people at UNLV, did you promise this kid money?
They said they never offered it to him, and that's why I guess an assistant coach. Here's the thing, JC.
Yeah.
The kid came from Holy Cross. So let's think about this for a minute.
Okay.
I don't think there were probably many people offering him anything, right? Supposedly he was getting like $3,000 a month. I thought that's what UNLV said. That was their agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And he never signed anything, I guess, with his agent.
Right.
It was like a verbal deal. Well, first of all, that's his fault and his agent's fault.
Fire that agent. Yeah.
Secondly, there's reports, and I don't know what to believe, don't really care, but they said that after they've beaten, they start 3-0, and I can't remember who all they beat. They go in there and try to get more money. Well, that ain't the way the game works.
No. Right.
So again, You came from Holy Cross.
Yeah.
By sitting out and redshirting, I seriously doubt anybody, a Power 5, Power 4 school is going to sign him out of the portal at the end of the year. I seriously doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he made a huge mistake. I think he quit on his team. I think it's a bad look. But I think it's he and his agent's fault for not signing a contract.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly reasonable. But I am curious why he would think $100,000 is owed him, and why he would make this rash decision to dump his teammates if there wasn't something behind it. To me, it seems like I don't know why a kid who would go 3-0 would just try to blackmail a school.
Well, then his tailback the running back did the same thing.
Well, it sounds like something that UNLV is going on. Although I like you, nobody knows, but I don't know why we can't just go right to the source of that. It's kind of like, hey, Jim McElwain, was Connor Stallions on your sideline? Well, we've got people looking into that. That's not an answer. That means he already knew that Connor Stallions was on his sideline. He just doesn't want to admit it. And we all know that Jim McElwain has this way of making up things, right? So, there's no accountability, essentially, is where I'm going after this at all.
No, I mean, but it sounds very simple to me that he and his representation
didn't do the right
screwed up.
Yeah.
And didn't. And I thought I read somewhere where his agent that was representing him hadn't even passed the certification of whatever he's supposed to do. So
yeah,
I think there's more to the story. But
Okay.
Daryl says on the Take No More text line, thank you for your show, listening and trying to keep Clay County going.
Yeah.
I don't know how bad Clay County got it. I hope everybody's good over there. All right. David says is asking on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, what rule says you can't negotiate an NI deal verbally or not? What school paying $3,000 a month? I don't know. That's just what I read. I don't see a school like UNLV. Now, if they were playing basketball and think if Jerry Tarkanian had NIL going on back in those days.
Oh,
holy smokes.
They'd get all the players.
Yeah. So it's UNLV. That's what I'm starting here at UNLV. Okay. I can't see UNLV offering guys from Holy Cross a lot of money. I just can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, $100,000 pales comparison to what DJ Uiagalelei is making at Florida State, and they paid him $800 already. If you can imagine.
Well, our quarterbacks make more than that.
But our guys, I think, are better than him.
Well, they are, but we still aren't a very good team.
Sure, no, it's true, and it's just it blows my mind that somebody like that could command that type of money, and somebody would be dumb enough to pay it. That's amazing. What a country, QB. What a country.
It's a great country. Core Power. Go get you some Core Power,
There you
Jason.
go.
42 grams of complete protein.
Ooh,
You'll be big. You'll be like Eddie Lacy before you know it.
Eddie Lacy was my hero, man. I loved Eddie Lacy. We all loved it. Everybody loved Eddie Lacy. Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, that's the game, right? Florida or Alabama and Georgia this weekend in Tuscaloosa. All roads are clear for Georgia to get over there today. The storm is already in Tennessee, if you can imagine. What a fast-moving storm.
Thank goodness that thing moved.
If that thing had been stationary, forget it. We'd all be hurting really bad. But Georgia and Alabama, QB, we're going to pick this game in our picks contest. But, Alabama has had their number in Atlanta. We all know that. Georgia, however, in the last 2 out of 3 years has won national championships. We all know that. These are the two standard bearers of college football, if you ask me. And this is going to be in Tuscaloosa, and they'll finally get to hear what an Alabama crowd that's excited sounds like, because Alabama has this thing where they don't think it's very loud there, but it can get very loud there when there's reason to, because a lot of times Alabama plays these games at home, and if it's not LSU or somebody like that, it's very quiet there because the game's over in the halftime. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this game Saturday night. It's going to be. I think Donald Trump is going to show up there.
Yes.
Great answer from Kalen DeBoer. Hey, Kalen, Coach, what do you think about Donald Trump, former president, coming to the game? And he said, "I don't blame him. I would too." It's going to be a real. This is the big for Georgia, because Georgia's got this thing where they want to take over and be the new Alabama, and they have to beat Alabama to be able to do that. Otherwise, they're resorting right back to when they were playing against Alabama under Saban, who owned Kirby Smart. So I think this is a huge game just for appearance for the Georgia Bulldogs. And I think for the loser of this game, the schedule is not easy going forward. So it's actually a bigger game than just some game in the fourth week of the season or fifth week.
Yeah, but the loser's still probably going to make the
yes,
the
but
playoffs.
I saw Georgia's schedule. You see Georgia's schedule this year? I mean, they've got some games. They've got some games to play.
Tony says Tony, as we all know, is a big golfer or likes following golf. I can't get into the President's Cup. They might as well. The international team might as well have me and JC playing for them. They got clobbered yesterday.
Yes, they did. Well, these guys on the live, like Rahm and them, they're not playing well. They're not the same golfers, QB. I think
they're not on the team.
They're not?
Well, no.
Rahm's not on the team?
They're not on the international team. Nobody in the live is.
Okay, I stand corrected. Did not.
It's Tom Kim, Hideki Matsuyama, Taylor Pendrith, Corey Connors.
Yeah, they're not.
I mean, they're still very good players, but they got blasted yesterday up in Canada.
Good.
I can't get into it. I can't get into it because it's during football season. Mark says on Facebook Live, I'm going to let you answer this, and I'm going to answer it, JC, on brought to you by Mellon Law. He's playing devil's advocate, but I know Mullen wasn't great with recruiting, but isn't Dan and Lane pretty much the same guy? You answer it, then I'll give my thoughts.
My answer is no. I don't know if they're off. I mean, you're the expert on offense, but I just like Lane Kiffin's style better. Dan Mullen's a great offensive coordinator. He knows what he's doing. But Lane Kiffin has had a rocky time coaching teams up until this Ole Miss game, job he's got. And Dan Mullen did very well at Mississippi State for a long period of time. So I think they're very different.
Yeah, Lane, I have said this for several years now. He is the modern day Steve Spurrier. He's on Twitter that rubs some people the wrong way, taking jabs at people with, the little emojis or whatever he may say. It's no different than what Coach Spurrier used to say in press conferences.
Yeah.
He's an offensive guy. I don't know if he played, but he was a quarterback for Fresno State. Obviously, we all know he's a coach's son.
Mullen never played, did he?
What's that?
Dan Mullen did not play football, or did he?
Yeah, he did. He played tight end at Ursinus.
Division III something.
Yeah. So, but Lane knows how to manipulate the NIL system. Kids want to play for Lane.
Yes.
They have fun at his practices. If you ever watch it, they're always playing softball at the end of practice, doing like a home run derby. They always do something that he keeps the kids interested, so to speak.
Okay.
But Ole Miss, they've done a tremendous job because they have a former basketball player as their AD, a former football player.
It's amazing.
An agent who worked for Jimmy Sexton and runs their NIL. He's creative and he thinks outside the box.
What a concept.
So they have it going on. So
surround yourself with alumni who did it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, but I think Lane. I do think Lane's a better coach than Dan.
Oh, I think so. How are they similar and different in their offensive schemes and setups?
I mean, I don't think there's any much difference. I think Dan was a good play caller. I think Lane's an excellent play caller. I think Lane has had really good quarterbacks. He had Matt Corral, who was a Florida commit. He brought him there. He had now he's got Jackson Dart, who is playing phenomenal. But Luke Altmaier was also one of his quarterbacks that now is coaching playing at Illinois.
Playing great too. Playing great at Illinois.
So he's very focused, and that's another thing why I like to compare him to Coach Spurrier, because he knows how to treat the quarterbacks. He was trolling, as people like to call it, Hugh Freeze, after he's blaming his quarterbacks.
Well, Dan Mullen had Nick Fitzgerald, and that guy couldn't throw a ball 12 yards, but he knew how to win with him, right? Yeah. I don't know if Nick Fitzgerald ever sees the field with Lane Kiffin. Do you think he does?
No. He wouldn't recruit that guy.
Right, correct. So that, Dan can find guys like that, 6'6", 6'5". Dak Prescott was kind of the same way. Just big dudes that got hit. Felipe Frank's big guy. That's what Dan goes for.
Army Cypress says, guys, Kiffin is not coming to Florida. You don't know that. I don't know that. Just let it play out. That's all you can say.
Yeah. We'll see how
All right,
Ole Miss
Jason.
does when the Dogs roll in and some good teams they play come calling. We'll see.
And here's the. I mean, there's a Ole Miss
They
Here's what
play
I'd like to tell
nobody.
people too, because I got tired of arguing with some of these Ole Miss people. Is Ole Miss's football team better than Florida's right now? Yes.
Yeah, I'd say
Has
so.
Lane done a phenomenal job? Yes.
Yes.
Is their NIL awesome?
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the brand and the overall, like the football program, is not bigger at Ole Miss than Florida Gators.
Yeah, there's no history of winning there at all.
Well, there has been the Johnny Vault days, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying the brand and the entire program. I'm not talking about like today. I'm talking about just in general. And I'm an Ole Miss. I mean, you're talking about my two teams right here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
there's no comparison.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Yeah, it's not a big state, QB. I mean, 3 million people in Mississippi. You can't.
I grew up in it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But they've got a couple times during their history where they do show up and have great years. They gave Saban fits. Gave Saban fits. Hugh Freeze had his number a couple times. Beat Alabama with Bo Wallace and Chad Kelly. Guys like that. So they've got some things, but that's a program that's not got a tradition of winning at all, except in the 50s. I'll give you the 50s, but my God,
that was the 60s.
Okay.
Johnny Ball, 60s.
Okay.
All right, let's get to our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. Do you have your notebook there? What are our stats right now?
You're 23-21. I'm 21-23. So, we've, these are games that if you look at them, you may not pick them with your own money if you're playing on a weekend and trying to pick your winners, but we pick them all here on PodUp because, that's what we do. And Joe is our Peachland Dental sponsor is gracious enough.
JC, can you see this?
I look at that. That's beautiful. My God, who was 26 at Ole Miss? Who was that?
My dad. This is Johnny Vault's. By Johnny Vault, right?
That is a beautiful.
Look at the inside. Can you see the inside of that helmet?
My God. Yeah. Oh God, concussion central. But hey, that is a sweet. Don't ever get rid of that, QB. That's a beautiful.
No.
That's a beautiful thing. That is a blue and red. That's them. That's Mississippi Rebels. All right, my man. Let's start with the game in Dallas over there at Highland Park, and that's the ritzy section of South Dallas, Southern Methodist, your ACC newest edition, facing Florida State. I bet you they have 40,000 fans at this game, and they're laying 6. QB.
I like the Mustangs, the Pony Express.
Lane 6. All right. I'll be different. I'm rooting for SMU, but I'll take the 6 points and see if I can cover with the lousy Noles who actually won a game last week. How about this one? One of our undefeateds that we talked about on Wednesday, the Illinois Fighting Illini rolling into Happy Valley, catching 18 points. Is Penn State really that good, QB? I'm taking Illinois. Hell with it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Luke Altmaier, the way they play. This isn't the normal Brett Bielema football teams where they're going to try to pound you. They spread you out. He's a really good quarterback. That line makes no sense to me at all.
Why is Penn State getting so much shine right
now?
Well,
maybe we're the morons that they're going to take Illinois, and then Penn State wins by 28.
And woodshed them. Well,
I'll take the Fighting Illini.
I will too. I like the 4-0 Illini. Penn State's also unbeaten, but this is a different team. And Brett's got the kids believing. When kids believe, they play sometimes better than they're capable of. So I'll take Illinois. Game we mentioned earlier, UCF 14 to Dion. Dion's coming a long way to play in this game. UCF's waiting on him. I think UCF can score at will on Colorado. I think Colorado up front might be one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah, I don't know what time is this game. Do you know? Is it a day game or night game?
It's a 3:30 game.
Okay. Yeah, I like. What's the line?
It is 14.
Wow. That's no respect for the
that's
Buffaloes.
Zero. They just think Central Florida.
I think they're a bad football team. I will take.
Yeah.
the Knights.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good one. We have a friend whose daughter is going to be going crazy with her little green leprechaun outfits and going up and down the stadium, getting crazy.
You think she's going to do that, JC?
I think she loves going to football games. You know, he's told me that she's going to fly to New Jersey with a friend who has a house there, a roommate, I guess, and they're going to watch Notre Dame play Navy. She's into football. That's what she's up to.
Well, her dad did that for a living.
He did. Notre Dame laying 7 to your boy Jeff Brom, your guy.
Oh, give me the Cardinals, baby. He's going to lay it on them with the passing attack.
Boy, what can they? Okay, yeah. Riley is having a hard time throwing the football at Notre Dame. I'm surprised by that. Riley Leonard, very surprised by that. Here's another unbeaten team, BYU. They really, really smacked the Kansas State Wildcats last week. I mean, just blew them out. First half, second half, total, all those bets won for BYU. Cover. They got Baylor, and they're getting 3. And I think BYU is a real deal in the Big 12. I think they could actually win that conference. So
aren't they? They're still undefeated, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 4-0 too.
Yeah, I like the way BYU's playing football.
Why only 3 points? That's surprising.
It's in
Baylor. It's at Baylor.
Yeah.
I don't care. It'll be hot.
I mean, Baylor played man coverage.
Yeah.
On a Hail Mary.
Well, yeah.
I thought Dave Aranda was supposed to know defense.
Yeah, he's supposed to be, right? He's a defensive guru. They're 2-2, but that game will be in Waco. I just think BYU is they're not a fluke. I like this game too. I like Indiana in the Big Ten laying 7 to Maryland. Indiana, Kurt Signetti. That's another undefeated team in Bloomington. But I'm going to take Maryland to cover the 7, and I think Indiana wins the game.
Ooh.
Tough
I'm
game.
just going to ride the Kurt Signetti wagon.
I like that. All right, in the league, in the SEC, this game, I mean, I just feel terrible for. I feel terrible for Mississippi State fans. I feel terrible for the staff there that came and saw absolutely nothing. But they're getting 37 to Texas, and they're going to lose by 50.
Easily. Longhorns, like I said, Mississippi State needs a running clock. Chapin's out, who's a good little college quarterback.
Yeah.
The true freshman that played against us at the end is going to struggle mightily.
Uh-huh.
Not a great thrower. He's barely 5'11". Longhorns can name the score.
They can name the score. Speaking of struggling, we have Oklahoma making their first trip ever to Auburn, Alabama. Neither team can score, it would seem. That shocks me because Oklahoma had Dylan Gabriel on their roster, and they let him go, QB. How does that happen? But they let him go.
Well, he got offered more money from Oregon.
So sell an oil rig and pay him at OU. But they didn't do it. And now they're stuck with, I don't know what he's doing with the quarterback situation, but Jackson Arnold, it's a mess there. Auburn is just as dysfunctional. Hugh Freeze calling out quarterbacks after the game, QB. I mean, how would you feel if you played and Coach Spurrier basically just said, you suck, and you couldn't?
He wouldn't say that. He would say, JC, it's not your fault.
It's my
fault. Dumbass to put you in the game.
But you were his starter, QB, and you just had a
right. But that's what he used to tell him. He used to tell people in meetings, JC, it's not your fault. I'm the one that put you in the game. It's my fault.
What did you?
Okay, so it's Hugh Freeze's fault for putting those guys and not going. He saw what the kid from Michigan State, Peyton Thorne, was last year.
Yes,
he could have gone and got another quarterback.
Yeah, he's got nothing there right now. And the Yellowwood is pissed off, and that's just the way it is at Auburn right now. I don't know which way to go with this team game, but I'm going to go with Venables and OU. They win 10-9.
I'm going with them too. I think they're not as bad as you think. I think Tennessee is that good,
and defensively they're pretty tough.
Yeah, they're very good defensively. And I know they got a lot of people out. I don't know any of their players, but I saw their injury report. Real quick, Robert in Fort Myers on the Titan on text line says, I think Dan Mullen did more with less, especially at Mississippi State. Yeah. However, Lane doesn't have to do more with less because kids outright want to go play for him.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Robert, hope you're not underwater, my friend.
Yeah. Wow. Well, he was able to send you a message, so that's a good sign. In Dallas, I've been to this game one year, and it is excellent to watch. Arkansas and Texas A&M play in Dallas every year. It's about a half and half situation, just kind of like the Florida-Georgia game or the Texas OU game. It's a very entertaining game. Arkansas and A&M. A&M's had the better way. Had the better way of it here, but they're laying 5.5. Is that too much to give Arkansas QB coming off?
I like the Hogs. I think the Hogs can score now as long as that quarterback doesn't throw it to the other team a bunch.
Other team, okay.
I think Petrino will dial them up.
Yeah.
A&M still struggles offensively, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Hogs to win this game.
It's funny how it's amazing how Arkansas is looked at differently now with Bobby Petrino running the offense, and I think that was
so. JC, honestly, they should be undefeated right now.
They should be undefeated, 1,000%. Kentucky is going to be at Lane's yard, and Kentucky's catching 16. So this might be the first game where Ole Miss actually plays somebody their own size. But
it will be their first game.
Yeah, and they're going to have to lay 16 to cover. Can Kentucky score on Ole Miss, you think?
Well, Brent Beard mentioned this yesterday because the last 2 times that Kentucky has played Ole Miss, it's been like a 2-point game both times.
2 points.
I think Ole Miss is going to win. I don't know if they can win by that much.
It's a lot.
Because I think Kentucky can slow the game down if they run the football.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if Ole Miss gets the offense rolling,
forget it.
Yeah, that line doesn't make much sense either. So I'm going to go opposite of whatever you pick, JC.
I'm going to take Kentucky, and I don't.
Okay, well then give me the Rebs.
Yeah, I'm going to let you take your team. I mean, your parents' team, and they are your team. You grew up with them. You grew up with Colonel Reb walking down the sideline in his old jacket there.
We had so many Rebel flags.
It was a different experience there now. It is very good, and they're very happy with what's going on in Oxford. All right, final game. We've got 2 NFL ones after this, and that'll do it for our picks contest. The game in Tuscaloosa is Alabama and Georgia. These teams now, listen, Georgia has had great success with Kirby, but they are 2-8 against Alabama in the last 10. So Alabama doesn't fear Georgia. Never have. And this is going to be a real big boy football type of day and game. Both teams had the week off. It's a 1-point spread. I think 2007 was the last time Alabama was an underdog at home. So it's been forever. If you can imagine that, 17 years. Georgia's outstanding, but they didn't look good against Kentucky. May have been looking ahead. Who knows? Alabama didn't look good against South Florida. Was definitely not healthy on the offensive line. Got it right against Wisconsin. I got to go with my boys, my alma mater, and the home team here because, again, Georgia, as good as they are, we beat them. So we're just going to beat them again.
Yeah, I think I saw something last night on the college game that Georgia is like 45-2 in their last 47 games. Think about that.
It's great.
And those 2 losses?
Yeah, Alabama.
Or to Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama.
I'm going with the home crowd.
All right.
I'm concerned about Georgia's offense. Carson Beck did not look good. I know you can have a bad game. That's no big deal. He looked terrible against Kentucky.
Right.
I think Alabama wins this game, and they'll be playing Dixieland Delight,
and
everybody will be happy.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a night.
JC, did they sing Dixieland Delight when you were in school?
No, they didn't do that, and that was a shame because that's actually really neat.
It's so awesome.
It's so good. They turn the lights off. Everybody's going, and then they make up their own words during the song to incorporate Auburn and Tennessee and LSU.
Yeah.
It's quite an experience. But listen, both teams will likely be in the playoffs. I think 5 SEC teams make the playoffs this year. I really do believe that. NFL, real quick, Tampa Bay catching 2 points at home against Philadelphia. I don't know. Tampa Bay shocked me at how badly they looked against Denver. Philly still has offensive issues. I guess I'll just take Tampa Bay and hell with it.
Tampa's an underdog at home?
2 points.
I'll take the Bucks to rebound.
And then are you going to take Houston to cover the 6 against the struggling and very disorganized Jacksonville Jaguars? And why it's only 6 is surprising. But Houston looked bad last week too. So
I'll take the Texans. I like the Texans a lot.
I don't like what I'm seeing with Trevor or his team or the team right now. Is Doug Peterson in trouble, you think, QB, or what?
Probably.
Man, it's amazing.
Text from Paul in Pensacola. He says they're safe there. After last week, I have signed y'all up for marriage counseling. Do you guys think this bye week comes at a good time? And what is the best thing they can be doing to make best use of it? We are what we are. That's just my opinion.
Well, QB.
Because here's the thing, JC.
Yeah.
What is our record? 2-2.
2-2.
So we went 6-6, 5-7, 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of been the same thing, right?
It's been the same thing, QB.
Okay.
But I would say, as far as this question about the open date, when you have a day against Mississippi State offensively, they didn't have a good day defensively, but offensively, I think you want to keep it going and keep playing and not have to wait 2 weeks to play again. I don't know. I would just think that it's early in the year. I don't think they're banged up that badly. I think they're healthy. So I don't know. I kind of wish they would keep playing. But the open date now with the scheduling and everything, everybody gets 2 open dates. So that's how it works.
Yeah, Florida victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators. Join today to help Florida victorious. Baron71 asked this question on YouTube about clock plumbing. Is Quinn Ewers going to come back? If so, how do you think Texas handles the QB situation? They have not announced the starter. There will be no quarterback controversy.
No,
Sark has made it very clear that when Ewers is healthy, it's his team.
That's
Arch knows that. But I'm telling you right now, Arch Manning's a player.
Yeah.
He is a player.
He's confident. The thing he's done that a lot of guys don't do is he's waited his turn. He's been there this is his 3rd year QB. It's Mac Jones part 2 right here, in my opinion. So I think, that's what makes quarterbacks better is they sit there and they patiently learn what they're supposed to do instead of just hop out of Eastside High School and go start. I think Texas has got everything going the right way, and I'm going to be at the Red River. I'll let you know what it's really all about at UT. It's going to be amazing.
Lauren says on Facebook Live brought to you by Mello, do you think the level of coaching doesn't matter as much anymore as it's about NIL and paying for the best players, best talent? I think it's a combination of both. I think the teams that have the best players have the best coaches.
Bo Schembechler said it best. Great players make great coaches.
Yeah.
You can't.
Think about it right now. Number 1 team in America, Texas, loaded roster, very good coach that calls plays.
Yes.
Number 2 in America, Georgia, loaded roster, excellent defensive-minded head coach.
That's right.
Number 3 is Ohio State, loaded roster. Ryan Day is a good coach.
Good offense.
Chip Kelly's calling plays, whatever. Ryan Day's a very good head coach.
Yes.
Ole Miss, Lane's got a loaded roster. He calls really good plays. Who am I missing? Alabama. As Coach Spurrier says, Jalen DeBoer, he always calls him Jalen DeBoer. His winning percentages is like over 90% as a head coach.
It's like Tim Walton with the softball team QB. It's crazy what his record is. But look, let's give this kid Melrose credit. 15 touchdowns. He's been responsible for all of them, either running or passing, in 3 games. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. I don't care who they play. That's pretty good. We'll see how he does with Georgia, but he beat him last year. He's going to be confident. He's a kid from Texas who can run and he's big. So, QB, the Peach Lab Picks contest is in, and we're done with that. And you're going to play golf tomorrow? Since you're off tomorrow, you got some big plans on Saturday?
I'm playing golf today, tomorrow, and Sunday.
All right. And then it's off to the football. Watch the football games. You get to watch.
Play in the morning time and watch ball during the day, and that's what I'm going to do.
What a great day.
Real quick, this day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put your star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. JC, do you remember this in 1987?
Yeah.
The NFL player strike began.
I do. Absolutely do remember that. Yeah. Yeah. The
scam. And didn't they have like dudes come off the street to play in the games?
It was just a bunch of guys, and they called them scabs. Remember that word, scabs? It was ugly situation. And the officials also struck. Remember when we had replacement refs and everybody lost their minds?
Yeah.
So labor is labor. There's about to be a big port strike, which means get your car fixed now or go and get things that you need soon. If they strike, stuff won't be on the shelves. Just giving you a heads up. That's coming up this week.
Okay, before you get out here, Dan's question for you on Facebook, I brought to you by Mel Law. JC, the Texas Fair starts today. What fried treat are you going to try when you get there?
I love onion rings. I'm all about onion rings.
That's a normal treat. Don't they fry Oreos?
Oh no, they do. They have great stuff. I've only been once to this event, and the game was secondary to all the fun you have outside of the Cotton Bowl. Because let me tell you, the Cotton Bowl is a rough place to go watch a game inside because it's not the most comfortable building in the world because it's old. But that's okay. You can put almost 100,000 people in that place. And it's a beautiful setting with Oklahoma and Texas people everywhere. There's over 100, 200,000 people walking around.
I love that game.
You've been. You took Lucius there one year, and I remember that when you guys loved the Longhorns back in the day. And here they are. Really, what a change we've seen in that school's football program just in the last 3-4 years. It's incredible how the tables have turned in that rivalry because Oklahoma wore them out in the past, 10, 15 years, and now Texas is getting theirs right. So it's going to be a great setting in Dallas. And then the next day, the Cowboys play the Lions at Jerry World. The Lions are going to bring 20,000 fans. They are going nuts in Detroit about their Lions. They're going nuts about their Tigers in Detroit, QB. I know you're not following baseball, but
they made the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs, and they've got the Cy Young Award winner in the American League pitching in the first game of any series they play, and that's a dangerous team because Skubal is the Skubal. Skubal. That guy's unbelievable. I don't know.
I'll get back up to date on my Major League Baseball when's the last game? Sunday?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Tuesday starts the wild card. My Yankees won the division, finally got it done. They get the bye as the wild card plays. They won the East. And so the baseball is great. The Padres in the National League, the Dodgers, the Phillies. This is going to be – I think the Braves are going to actually make it with probably the Mets and maybe the Diamondbacks, but most likely it'll be the Padres and the Braves and the Mets or the Braves. Anyway. It's going to be a very interesting and entertaining postseason in baseball. I love afternoon baseball in October during the playoffs. It's fun to watch it work while you're sitting there slaving away. And I think the Tigers are quite a story, having come from literally nowhere. They've got the best record since mid-August in baseball, the Detroit Tigers. So everybody in Motown is just tripping right now over their football, their baseball. They got Michigan beating USC last weekend. So everybody's really happy in Southern Michigan.
Kurt Gibson still play for them?
Yeah. Gibby. Yeah, Gibby.
Alan Trammell. Remember Alan Trammell?
Yeah, Sweet Lou Whitaker.
Yeah.
All
right, JC.
Yeah, it's a good team.
Go out to the beach and enjoy it. I got to take a break. We lost track of time. That's JC joining us on the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. Quick timeout. Come back to get to more some of these comments, questions, and text. You're watching, listening, PodUp Matthews and Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, Titan MRI, Meldon Law, Peachland Dental, QC Kinetics, Campus USA Credit Union, Dave & Buster's. Gridiron sponsors, CertaPro Painters, Comfort Temp, UF Bookstores, Quality Plumbing, Silverback Concrete, Rules Ogra State Farm, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, F45, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Core Power, Baker's Sporting Goods, MG&A Wealth, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Nest and Wild, Palm Beach Autographs, Florida Victorious, Electronics World.
If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Joseph and all the fellows over in not Steinhatchee got wiped out, I'm sure, but they're in Perry. They survived. I know they weren't there, but they're back. I guess they've checked it out. But yeah, it was bad. Storm surge was awful. People want to give a shout out to Mary Wise and the volleyball team for beating the Lady Sooners yesterday. Congratulations to them. And maybe they'll make a little run here. I think they're getting healthy here later in the season. All right, let's get a couple of texts here before we get out of here. This is a text from 252. Says, times are changing. You better have a coach that understands a great staff, talent evaluation, roster management. It's NFL attitudes, independent paid contractors. Yeah, but again, I do think the better players you have, the better coach you are. That's a saying that's always been there, and I agree with that. The teams in the top 10 have good rosters and good coaches, so it's a good combination to have for sure. And Barone says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Spurrier always said, the more you win, the better players you get. Good head coaches win, and then the better players continue coming. No question about it. Yep, that's why we got to win games. We got to start winning a lot of football games. All right, so we were supposed to have Chris Harry. I failed to mention that. He has no power. So we'll talk Gator basketball with him sometime next week. They're excited about their basketball team. Todd Golden has added a lot of players he thinks will make a difference. And just talking to Chris, he likes this team as well. Joseph says Steinhatchee and the Beachers are gone, but in town it isn't as bad as Adalia. Storm surge was insane on the coast. Yeah. I can't imagine the wind and stuff because it was terrible here in Gainesville. I can't imagine over there on the coast how hard the wind was blowing. That's going to do it for today. I hope everybody is okay that watches our program and their friends and their family. It's a devastating storm for sure. We'll be back here on Monday to recap everything that happens in sports around the world. And have a great weekend, folks. See you on Monday. Take care.